Welcome to Moms of the Lou podcast, hosted by and recorded for St. Louis moms. Grab your laundry basket, kick your feet up for nap time, or head out the door for pickup and spend a little time catching up with your favorite St. Louis moms. Hosted by a fellow St. Louis mom, Rebekah Coast, let's dive into our discussion today. All right. Well, hello, St. Louis moms. We are back for another episode of Moms of the Lou. I'm so excited about today's guest. I am sure that you know who she is. She is a local St. Louis mom, of course, but has built an incredible national brand and presence. So today we are going to be chatting with Kelly Stumpe, the car mom. Hello, Kelly.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, we are so excited to chat with you. Like I mentioned, I know you've built a national brand, but at heart, you're a St. Louis mom. So we're excited to chat with you today. So to kick us off, I would love for you to tell your story. I want you to introduce yourself and your family and your roots in St. Louis.
Sure. So, my name is Kelly and I go by the Car Mom over on Instagram. And people are always very surprised because I don't go by my maiden name anymore, that I actually have a very deep automotive roots in the St. Louis area. My maiden name is Suntrup and my family owns some of the Suntrup car dealerships. So my grandpa started a used car lot in 1957. My dad and his brother grew it to a multi-store franchise. And I started selling cars right outside of college and just fell in love with the whole business. I loved sales. I loved auto. I loved connecting with people. And I found that the car business actually, despite what I had heard and what people I think sometimes think, the act of buying a car is actually very exciting. Like, hello, you're buying a brand new car. So I found it actually very easy to sell cars. I just had to take the process and make it as fun as possible. And I did it for several years and I just adored it. And then when I was pregnant with my second, I started to kind of, do what I think a lot of moms do and pencil out daycare for 2 kids, look at the hours I was working. And I just remember feeling very discouraged because I felt like motherhood and selling cars didn't really mix.
Yeah.
And it's just such a funny thing to think about all the conversations I had with myself and my husband and my dad being like, gosh, I just can't sell cars and be a mom. Like it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And all I had to do was say it out loud a couple more times to realize, no, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell cars to moms and that's just going to be my niche and my bread and butter. So the original intention was just to be the mom in St. Louis who sold cars to other moms. And I thought I would just maybe try to work by appointment, maybe do some, pop-ups with the local, with the hottest new minivan. But as I started kind of posting online and doing things like that, I realized that there was no one in the country, in the world really, reviewing cars for mothers.
Yes.
So I started posting videos on Instagram, and after a couple of months, I had seen a little bit of success, and I finally found out how to check my Instagram analytics, and I realized that St. Louis wasn't even one of my top 5 cities. And I was like New York and Texas and California, and I was like, oh, this is going to be maybe a little bigger than just St. Louis mom. So that's kind of how the whole thing got started.
Yeah. So it's safe to say it was not maybe on your radar how big it would get or the reach that you have.
I would say yes or no. I definitely thought it was a good idea. I was like, this is a good idea. And I told my sister about it and she loved it. My husband loved it because it did just feel so unique. And it was one of those moments where also it felt like I had been training for this my whole life. Because you also think about how many other women are mothers who have access to all of these cars. My privilege in that sense made me very unique. And I was in a way, the perfect person to do this. So I was very excited to see how fast it all grew, but I knew I had a good idea when I started it. And it was just all about making sure I could reach as many people as possible.
Yes. And I think your followers have also bonded with your family. It's clear that your family is really important to you. And so I love that you've made it a family, a family thing. So love that. Okay. Can we just talk really quickly about some of your St. Louis favorites? It could be restaurant, coffee shop, place to go with your kids, place to go with friends.
Oh yeah,
your top 5.
Oh, that's so fun. I actually live a little outside of St. Louis.
Okay.
So I'm from town and country Chesterfield area.
Yes. Okay.
And then West County. And then I married a man from a very small town called Sullivan, Missouri.
Yes.
And we kind of split the difference. And now I'm kind of in like the Washington, Missouri area. So I'm like a little outside of St. Louis. So one, I think Washington, Missouri if it's a 45-minute drive. Trust me, I do it almost every day. So no one complain about it. It's a darling little town to come to. There's like a riverfront, a fun park, a ton of good coffee shops. There's some fun, like kid-friendly restaurants. So we spend a lot of time down there. And we also like to make sure we always hit up all of the county fairs. My husband grew up going to fairs. So we do like the Washington County Fair, the Crawford County Fair. And those are also fun things to get on your radar and look up because they have all the carnival rides. They've got like, concerts in the evenings. They have livestock that the kids, it's like the ultimate petting zoo, like livestock barns the kids can walk through, and they're all over like this area. So
I love that.
Those are really fun.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of, I actually really like to go to my museum a lot with my kids.
Yeah. That's a great
I just
spot.
find it a little bit, granted, my kids are a little younger. My kids are 5, 3, and 1. So I don't always have like the headspace for like the Magic House or City Museum or things like that. So I find that my museum is I don't think my kids will like it as much when they're older, but for now, like it's all the stimulation we need and everyone feels more contained.
For sure. I think we all really love the Magic House at heart, but we're just like, we get there and we're like, oh, I'm going to lose somebody.
No, I know. It's very stressful. And then there's also a really fun park out here kind of by me in Union, Missouri called Veterans Park, Veterans Memorial Park. And they have 3 playgrounds and a splash pad. And I could be a little biased, but I think it's one of the best splash pads in the St. Louis area. So again, it's a little bit of a drive for people deep in St. Louis, but it's a drive that's worth it because you'll literally hit 3 incredible playgrounds and a splash pad.
Yes. I love Veterans Memorial Tribute. However,
I don't know what it's called. Look up Park in Union, Missouri. You'll find it.
That's awesome. Okay. So you heard it from the Car Mom guys. You got to go to Washington, Missouri.
Yeah,
go spend the day.
And I've never done it because we just kind of moved out this direction recently, but I've heard you can actually take the train from Kirkwood to Washington.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, I heard the ticket. this is all word of mouth. So someone fact check me, but I'm sure you can because the train runs right through Washington and through Kirkwood.
Right.
And it's probably only like a 40-minute train ride.
Okay.
So I feel like that could be a fun thing to do with the kids. And it drops you right off at the riverfront. There's a great coffee shop across the street, a fun playground for the kids. And then downtown Washington has a fun of just antique shops and local places.
Yes. Isn't there like a train? Is there a train museum or model train?
There is a train museum.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. There is a train museum. We go there. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's on my bucket list to do. Or maybe I'll take it from Washington to Kirkwood. I'll kind of do the reverse. But I do think that'd be like kind of a fun little distance to travel.
And that's a great distance for littles. It's like 30 minutes is a great
exactly.
So, okay. Favorite place to go with your girlfriends? Mom's night out?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I do really I just went there actually last night, and it's a poke for me, but I really do like Louis Wine and Dive in Clayton.
Oh yeah. That's a great
And I had their spicy arborata, like shrimp pasta. And I have not stopped thinking about it. Like granted, I'm, very pregnant. Yeah. So, but I'm already planning. I'm like, when can I get that stupid pasta again? Because that was so good.
Love that. Okay. So, we talked a little bit about how you got started, you yourself as a car mom. What about advice that you have for a mom starting her own business or a mom interested in starting a business from home and not knowing where to start? I feel like that's a big part of our generation. We're seeing now as this side hustle that, our mom's generation, it wasn't necessarily super prevalent yet. So yeah, I just want to know what advice you have for a mom who's getting started.
Yeah. I think that because and I'll make it a little bit more social media based because that's definitely more what I know. But I think no matter what kind of business you're starting, I'm sure a lot of business owners would give you the career advice on the importance of having an online presence. And I think social media is such a tool, especially for the mom community, because sorry, moms, like I'm guilty. Like we're spending a lot of time on these apps, like looking for this community, this connection. It's kind of become our village. And I think that's good because I think I think for the bads that come with social media, there is so much good that's happening. And I think in a way, a lot of us have kind of been able to set the boundaries around ourselves to like just really get the good out of it. Like I have made some really great friends on social media. I've learned so much about my kids, and there's so many good accounts who are trying to truly just make your parenting easier. So I think having a social media presence is so important. And I think it's the best avenue to run a successful business. It's so easy to sell product, to have events, to sell courses if you have an engaged audience. So that's always been our number one goal at the Car Mom, is not to like sell something or not to make money, but just to keep my audience engaged. There's so much that I still want to do with the Car Mom business. And I'm talking like big plans. Like I'm talking like I'm going to have a vehicle model named after me one day. Like mark my words. Like and I know all that's going to happen. But I'm also very hyper aware of like, I'm in like my baby growing, raising stage right now. Yeah. So I spend a lot of time just making sure that I keep this audience ready and engaged. So when I am ready to make a move or have a new product to sell or something, I don't have to spend money on marketing or like wondering if it's going to work. Of course it's going to work, because I have like poured my blood, sweat, and tears into building this community and this audience.
Yes. And
whenever people ask me, how do you get successful on social media? Or if I have like smaller creators sometimes complain about, the algorithm, or like they feel like they're not growing. I think the really hard and honest part about social media is the algorithm's entire job is to deliver good content to your niche.
Right.
All Instagram wants to do is keep moms on Instagram. Mm-hmm. So use that to your advantage, and also like have the self-development to realize if you're not growing, it's because your content's not engaging enough, not good enough. And that can be like a hard truth, but the good news is it doesn't play favorites. Anyone can do it. It doesn't cost money.
Yeah.
You just have to make really good content. And I still to this day have reels that flop. Like I'm talking like I had to delete it because I was too embarrassed on how low my views were.
Aww.
And but I'm not going to have like Instagram's out to give me, or I'm shadow banned, or I'm this. I'm like, no, you know what? It wasn't very good, because like good content will always get the views. That's the whole point of, and if you can't believe in that aspect of the algorithm, then you shouldn't be on it, because you're never going to feel like it's working for you.
Yeah. Oh gosh, so
that was kind of a loaded answer, but I do just like to give that advice, because there's not, I mean, it just does boil down to focus on creating good content.
Yeah. So how have you found a balance? Because I personally have really struggled with finding a balance with like my relationship with technology and like being being home too with my kids. So I'm wondering, how have you found a balance? Like what kind of measures have you put in place to,
Yeah, and it took me a very long time to get here, but I'm the kind of person, and I think a lot of us are like this. In a way, I kind of wake up a different person every day. Truthfully, some days I wake up and I'm like, I am such a boss. Like I am running this business. I'm going to send my kids to daycare. I'm going to do this. I'm going to grow this thing. And then the next day I wake up and I'm like, George was off school. So like, let me just keep Hattie home. Like I think we're going to bake banana bread. Like I have bananas that have to, and I just give myself the flexibility and the grace to just be whoever I want to be when I wake up that day. And for so long I fought it. I was like, oh, I'm not being mom enough today. I was like, well, truthfully, I'm not feeling that today. They're driving me crazy. I've been with them for the past 5 days. Like I'm feeling like I want to do this today. And then when I miss them, I miss them. And then we do nothing. And I go off my phone, and it just took me, I always thought I had to have this like daily balance in my life. Yeah. And I've kind of just realized that's not always realistic for what we have in our schedule, for what I have in my business. And so it's more of like a weekly, yearly, monthly balance.
Yes. Yep. What is the greatest piece of advice you've received in motherhood?
The greatest piece of advice?
Or the most maybe... Yeah. Forming piece of advice you've received?
It's one of those things that's kind of a hard truth to hear when you're younger, or not when you're younger, when you're a new mom. But the piece of advice I got, my sister-in-law gave it to me, and she said, it never gets easier, but you get better at dealing with it. And I love that. And I cling to that because I think that there's so much growth that happens after you become a mom. And sure, there's aspects of it that get easier. There's aspects of it that get harder. But at the end of the day, like when you become a mom, you're going to experience so much growth. And like, I think I am such a more interesting, better, well-rounded person now than I was before I became a mom. And I'm so proud. I think a lot of us are, I'm so proud of like what I can handle in a day now. Yeah. And, like I have younger sisters who are one just graduated college, one graduated a year ago. And like hearing them complain about their problems, I'm like, And again, not that I'm not sympathetic, but I'm like, oh, girls, like I did all that by 9 a.m. Like, come on, like,
Right.
you're fine.
Yeah,
And
you're fine.
but you feel really good about yourself when you realize it's like, wow, like I accomplished so much, even on the days you don't feel like you accomplished so much, like you did.
Yeah.
And I've gotten really good at dealing with a lot of stuff.
Yes. Like living all these lives by 9 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Okay. So you've got an event coming up. Will you tell us about your event this
Yes.
summer?
Oh, it's the best event of the year. It's called the Car Mom Auto Show.
Okay.
And it's an auto show dedicated to empowering families through the car buying process. So I traveled to a lot of auto shows for work to, see the new releases, capture content, and truthfully, they're snooze fests. And I can say that to their faces. It's stiff. It's not geared towards anybody. Half of the cars are locked. You don't really I feel like I would leave an auto show having more questions and less clarity about what actually car I was interested in or what even wanted to film content on. So, and I also know that the car buying process is so hard for families. And a big part of what I like to do is make it easier. Like, I just want to give moms back an extra 45 minutes. Like, what if you can just watch my tour and see that maybe the Toyota Highlander is not the car? Like, I just saved you 45 minutes.
Yeah. I
know how important that is.
Yes.
So the auto show is the one-stop shop to see all the family cars. Because if you had 5 cars on your list, and I don't even think you need to really test drive all of them, because I think a lot of moms can see a car sit in the back seat and take it off their list immediately because we just know what we want. So it's why don't we just have an event and I'll just have all the cars there and families can come see all of them. We'll install car seats. We'll have strollers and people can just we can be productive. Yes. You can spend 90 minutes. You can look at 5 cars. But of course, we wanted to make it fun. So it's also, okay, well, they're going to bring their kids. So let's have a face painter. Let's have some Disney princesses there. Let's have some cotton candy and a snow cone person. So the bubble bus is coming. So we have all these fun kids activities because, of course, you can't have a car mom event without the kids. Mm-hmm. And then we have a ton of local vendors, local and non-local vendors who drive in. Most of them are mother-owned businesses, mom-owned businesses, which is so important to me. So they're all setting up. So instead of going to 5 different dealerships, meeting some guy named Kyle, Mike, Dave, Brandon, whatever, while they're sipping on an energy drink and going to call you for the next 90 days, you come to my event, Caldi's is coming, they're bringing iced coffee. You can have an iced coffee, pay $10 to get in, have an iced coffee, and you can look at all the cars.
Perfect.
Truthfully, the event sells sells itself because who would not want to come to that?
Great.
But I'm very excited. It's July 20th. It's at Queeny Park.
Okay.
Inside the ice skating rink. It's really fun because they cover the ice. So they rent it out as a venue space and it's the perfect space because now we have, an indoor auto show, mini auto show.
Awesome. How can moms get tickets for the auto show?
They can go on our website, thecarmom.com, and there's a little banner at the top that says get tickets. You can get tickets day of, but the line gets very long, because we have a separate line for buying tickets and not buying and just scanning tickets. Yeah. So I would suggest you get tickets. And we are doing, I think we still have a few tickets left. We do have a VIP night the evening before, which is that's more like date night, girlfriend night. I wouldn't don't bring your kids to that one.
Okay.
And we'll have past apps, we'll have cocktails, some live music, and it's an exclusive look at the show with a very limited number of people. So
love that.
Yeah. But the show runs from 10 to 4 on Saturday.
Okay.
And everyone comes at 10 and then no one comes at 3. So don't be scared to come at 3.
Okay. Yeah.
Everything's happening the whole time.
Yeah.
So you don't have to show up at 10.
Post-nap
yeah,
activity.
The kids, let's actually all agree to do that. If you have napping age kids, come after nap. If you don't have napping age kids, come before. So we can spread it out a bit.
Okay. Saturday, July 20th at Queeny Park. You can get tickets on your website. Okay. We will spread the word. Last question for you, Kelly. Yes. Where do you see the Car Mom in 5 years?
Let me think about that. I'll have a 10-year-old. Okay. I think I'll have a 10-year-old to a 4-year-old. So I could have my life quite together. I would say I'm very passionate about continuing to grow our team. I have a lot of moms that work with the Car Mom right now. And I love that because it feels so good just to give the gift of flexibility. And I feel like moms are I think that just corporate America is kind of sleeping on them because my team of moms can get done during their kids' 1 to 3 hour nap is what, no offense, is what a 22-year-old intern would get done in a week. These girls are just on it, after it. And I mean, there's so many moms out there who are just looking for flexibility, who have master's degrees, law degrees, accounting degrees, who are so helpful.
Yes.
And I just feel like I can't believe more people aren't like, oh, what? Like, so they want to work from home and have to be done by 3 and you're going to say no to them? Like, you're insane. They are so talented. They're so talented.
Yeah.
So I love that aspect of it. And I always want to make sure I'm continuing to grow the team that way.
Yeah.
So probably just, continuing to have more moms. I do a lot of travel, or I get invited to a lot of travel events. And something about me is I hate to travel.
Okay.
Like, I don't know why. I just don't have the bug or the itch or anything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't want to go. So
You're
I'd like
to.
Yeah. So I need to get like a travel team in place, because there's so many fun events. Like, hey, there's the new Explorer is being released. Hey, the new Forerunner is being released. And it's like, I don't want to go. Or I can't go, because it also takes a lot out of the business for me to travel for 2 days to see one car. So it'd be fun to find like a ground reporter.
Yeah.
That's kind of, that's something that's kind of like on my 5-year vision board, like find a really good ground reporter who I can like send to these events.
I love it.
And I'll just stay home.
I love it. Yeah. Report back. Let me know how it went. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Kelly. And thanks for all you do for moms, just on behalf of moms everywhere who don't know much about cars or how to buy a car. We're just so thankful for what you do and all you've poured into your platform.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Okay. Last thing, tell moms how they can find you if for whatever reason they're not already connected with you.
You can find us on Instagram at The Car Mom, YouTube, The Car Mom. YouTube's where we house all of our tours. So if you're like actually looking for a specific tour, go to YouTube or our website, thecarmom.com. And then I have a podcast I run with my sister called The Carpool. And it's a really fun podcast. We talk a lot about motherhood. And then we also, it's kind of the style we like to try to do is like pop culture gossip, but make it automotive. Yeah. So we recently had a bigwig from Kia on, and I basically was just like, why did you name the car the Carnival? That's a horrible name. Like, I just say things like, we just say things like that. And it's fun because we kind of talk about the auto industry like a couple of girls gossiping about celebrities. So even if you don't think you're interested in auto, the auto industry is crazy. So trust me. Trust me, you are.
I'm sure. I have no doubt. I love your podcast. I listen all the time. So it's so much fun. Okay. Instagram, YouTube, podcast, your website, obviously. And maybe we'll see you in downtown Washington or on the train.
Yeah. Love it. I love it.
All right. Thank you, Kelly, for your time. We appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Moms of the Lou. We hope it encouraged you and put a pep in your step and helped you get to know our community a little bit better. Be sure to find us on Instagram, STLewis_mom. You can find us on Facebook, St. Louis Mom. You can find us on our website, www.stlouismom.com. In case nobody else tells you today, you're a great mom and you're doing a great job. Chat with you next time.